might end up being championship contenders or champions themselves?
So there were so many this year. What I did was, you know, my boards that are set up in the war room. We have all the top fighters in every weight class in the top 15, and I started another board with people that we want to keep, you know, top of mind every day that came off this season of the show. So yeah, I mean, yes, there's tons of guys and girls that we're really excited about.
When you look at any normal crop that you take out, I mean, I think you're just looking for people that will be long-term roster people, right? You know, that would be the bulk of the people that would be on there. But it seems to me this year you had some special people that, you know, were better than, you know, from how more potential than other fighters, I guess is what I would say.
No doubt about it. And you know what I love? I love how global it is. Like Jonathan from Australia, right? We got girls from Mexico. We got, you know, we got a Cuban. As you start to go there, Americans, it's Brazilians. I mean, it's awesome to have not only this type of talent on this show, but from all over the world.
To ask you about Julietta, so
Tell me this. Think about this. As long as you've been in combat sports, think back, has there ever been a show that produces so much good talent in combat sports history? Never. I mean, other than The Ultimate Fighter, and this is actually fat. I mean, I wish we could do this every Tuesday for the rest of the year.
Why can't you?
Because there's not enough talent, you know? I mean, some of these, you heard even tonight, I mean, some of these guys took the fight on week's notice. So between the talent pool not being big enough and injuries, it's just be like running a whole nother business.
So Julietta's, the decision to not take her, it seemed to kind of like the Bo Nickel thing. I mean, what else could she do? She went in there and looked tremendous. So I want to ask you about that decision.
There's a big difference between her and Bo Nickel, though. Bo Nickel needed a little more experience, needed to see him again against somebody else, you know, of a high caliber. This girl is super green. She turned 20 2 months ago. Yeah. Turned 22 months ago, and she is undersized for that weight division. She's really talented, but it's not the right time. She's a baby. She doesn't need to step into the UFC right now. We love her. We'll do whatever she needs down at the PI. Let her train at the PI. Let her get more fights in her weight class until she, you know, starts to fill out. Tonight you saw a little girl fight a woman, and the little girl won. You know what I mean? Because I wrote down Spunky Monkey when I mean, she was all over the place, bouncing around like a little maniac. She's awesome. She's acrobatic. She's got obviously a ton of heart. Landed some. I mean, just the head kick she landed was beautiful. A flying knee. You know, she needs more time.
And the one thing I wanted to ask you, you know, I remember when you opened the PI and I talked to you and you were talking about being able to finally mine the talent from down there and everything. Is this kind of the first sign of what you're seeing from that thing being open? What is it, 8 months now?
100%. And, you know, she's with Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz is down there and is one of her trainers. I mean, once she starts to work with people like that, and she just needs time. She turned 20 2 months ago. We love her. She's just not ready.
Did you, I want to go to Luis and the Nick fight. Like, Nick gets the choke in early on, and it looks like, you know, he came out like a house of fire, and he's going to win that fight and get his contract in the second thing. And Luis just, I mean, I haven't seen the scorecard yet, but I would imagine he won that first round because he was landing some major shots after there. The kind of heart that he showed to fight off that choke and to come back, I mean.
I said the same thing to Sean and Mick when the fight started. I said, the mentality of this guy. First of all, let's start with this. You take the fight on a week's notice. Royval, you know, he comes to corner Royval. Then that happens to you in the first 15 seconds of the fight. And to overcome that mentally and do what he did in this fight, this guy is unbelievable. Yeah, it's awesome. Loving it.
He reminded me a lot of Royval in terms of the balls and everything that he did, right?
No doubt about it. You know, definitely that camp. And Royval came over and told me the story and was like, you have no idea how badass this dude is. He's awesome. Oh, and think about this. This guy showed up here to corner. Royval was telling me this guy had a horrible weight cut. He said, We stayed up till 6 o'clock in the morning cutting weight, him and the team. So that guy went through hell to cut weight. You can only imagine. If you think of another cool fact, not one person missed weight this entire season of the Contender Series. And yeah, I mean, this guy's 10-0 now. You know, what's my favorite line here? I'm not looking for 30-year-old contenders. Yeah, this dude's awesome. I can't wait to see him fight next.
And the pace in that fight was just insane too. I mean, and Nick would take him down, and next thing you know, he's flipped on his head. I mean, it was crazy.
Well, again, you got to think about Nick's mentality. This guy was very hyped up by Daniel Cormier himself. A lot of hype around this kid. He came into the first one, and I didn't think he won the fight. I thought the judges got it wrong, and I said, yeah, I don't agree that he won. I want to bring him back. He agrees to come back. Much respect for him for doing that. Then comes in. His fight falls out. His opponent falls out a week ahead, and they slide this dude in. And just everything about this fight was incredible.
And as good as he was, would he be, if you were picking fighter of the night, would he be fighter of the night, or would it be Yadir or Nick? Because both, in both of those cases.
You know what the beautiful thing is? That's the question tonight. That's how good tonight was.
If I can ask you, you put out a video that you were pretty adamant on about the rankings and about Khalil Rountree, and obviously, the rankings I saw tonight. There was somebody from a newspaper called, was it the Cherokee Sun or something, that is on the rankings panel. But your adamance was a little, where do you put Khalil? Obviously, we all greatly respect what he did against Alex, but he got knocked out, and the Volkan ahead of him has won, 2 or 3 in a row, and Nikita Krylov has won 3 or 4 in a row. I mean, how do you move a guy up getting knocked out with, guys like that ahead of him that have won?
If you look at who Pereira has beat, right, and how he's beat him leading up to this fight, he was winning on the scorecards when he got stopped. He was the head on the scorecards, stayed in the pocket, put on one of the greatest fights anybody's ever seen, and he stays at number 8. It's just I can't handle incompetence. I can't take it anymore. It's driving me crazy. And I can't let people that I don't believe know what the fuck they're talking about deal with the rankings anymore. I just can't do it. I have to figure out a solution. Tomorrow I have a meeting with a group of people that are coming to me saying they have the solution to this problem. And God, I hope they're right, because I'm going to change it. The media will no longer control the rankings in the UFC.
Do you feel like it's fair? It would be Krylov and Ozdemir.
What's
right?
not fair is for fighters to go in and do what they do and just have people that are either lazy or incompetent fuck up their shit.
Yeah, I'm not defending the rankings mostly.
That I can't deal with anymore.
Yeah,
it's
I don't want to defend that overall ranking, but I'm just in this specific case because your adamance was a big part of it. And I just look at it, I go, Khalil got knocked out, and I guess your matchmaking said you thought he should have been ranked higher than number 8 to begin with, right? So when you made the match, is that fair to say that you felt that he was too low at the time you made the match?
That's debatable. You don't know until they fight. The question is this: when we go into this fight, here's what everybody knew. Wow, this is going to be a great fight. Nobody thought, oh, this fight's going to suck. It's going to be this, that, which people do a lot. People will judge a fight before it happens, which you can never do. It's been proven a zillion times over. But here's the thing. When the fight is over, now we know where he really sits in the rankings. I mean, I just said this a week or two ago about Max Holloway and where he sits in the rankings. And I could literally go through the rank. We do it in matchmaking all the time. We sit in matchmaking, me, Sean, Mick, and Hunter, and we go, look at this, look at this. And then Tuesday's ranking comes out, and we go, here we go again. And it's something I need to fix. I need to stop bitching about it, and I need to fix it.
Can you give us a hint on what the system that you're talking about is about?
No, I don't know yet.
Oh, you haven't?
They're pitching me on it tomorrow.
And just the last question on that, just I don't want to go over, but like when you look at Nikita and Volkan, they both have been winning their fights and beating good people, right? So where would you?
Well, how you judge him? He just fought.
Right. Well, where would you put Khalil? I guess is the question.
Well, let's do this. The media says he's the number 2 pound-for-pound guy in the world. Pereira. Khalil was winning on the scorecards when he lost the fight. What? What does that fucking tell you? Where should Khalil be? He fought the number 2 pound-for-pound who was judged number 2 pound-for-pound by the media and was beating him on the scorecards when the fight finished. And it was an absolute fucking war.
Again, to be fair, he got knocked out, though.
Okay. In a fucking dogfight. So where does that put him? Did any of these other guys that are ranked ahead of him fight the number 2 pound-for-pound guy in the world? No, they did not. Then they can be judged when they fight the number 2 pound-for-pound guy in the world. But to have Khalil stay at number 8 is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I can't take it anymore. It needs to be fixed. AI isn't coming along fast enough. We need other solutions.
I didn't mean to get you upset.
No. It's just, it's not that I'm upset. It's, you know what, it's at the point where, hey, Dana, shut the fuck up and fix it. Stop bitching about it and fix it. That's it. So we're gonna figure this thing out, and the media will not control the rankings anymore.
How much in your matchmaking meetings do you pay attention to them now, given that you've been talking about this as a long-time problem? Like, do you even look at those rankings and consider them when you're making the fights, or do you just go off of what you think they should be?
No, we do. We obviously, the rankings are very important. It's important, or I wouldn't be, you know, the rankings, judging, reffing. You know, there are a lot of things that we can't control, because there should never be a scenario where we are personally controlling the rankings. Can't happen. You have to have another system in there where for instance, if I think, you know, at the end of the day, I make fights that people want to see anyway. But I believe that I should not be the one controlling the rankings. So we're going to figure out a different system, because it can't be the people who have been doing it, because they're not doing it right.
And then last question for you is you referenced Royval a little bit here, but I did not hear you speak about Royval at all. His performance against Tyra, I thought that was such a fantastic fight, and
I agree.
you know, he's looking to get back in the title picture, and certainly, you know, he has an argument given what he just did and who he's also beaten. What was your take on his performance, and do you agree with him in terms of his saying that he deserves to be in a title fight soon?
Yeah, incredible fight. And obviously, he deserves to be in a title fight. We'll just see how that plays out over the next several weeks. But yes, I agree. Unbelievable performance by both guys.
Hi, Dana. Hi. Probably your favorite question. Conor McGregor and Dan Hooker have made a fight all on their own. What do you think of that fight, and is that something you're even interested in?
Yeah, obviously, you know, that would be a great fight. I like that fight. I did not announce a fight.
Have you talked to either of them about it since they announced it? UFC Tampa is scheduled for December. There have been 2 big hurricanes that came through Florida. Is that still the plan, do you think, or will there be? I think
so, because I think that, I don't know for me to speak like this, but I've heard from people it wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be. It was still bad, and obviously, but I don't think it was as bad as they thought it was going to be. So we'll see how quickly things get cleaned up there. But yeah, we want to go back to Tampa. Tampa's an incredible market for us. And we have an unbelievable economic impact on cities, and I'm sure Tampa could use it.
Right. Last weekend, Themba Gorimbo, he won his fight, and he mentioned he would like to be the backup for the Nick Diaz-Vicente Luque fight.
Who wanted to be the backup?
Themba.
Who?
Themba.
Okay. Yeah,
He'd like to be the backup. I guess he predicted that fight wouldn't happen last time, so he wants to be the backup this time. Is that something you'd consider?
I don't know. I mean, it's not like we do backups for fights like that. We do backups for title fights. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if something happened, I guess we got a guy.
Ariana Grande did a UFC skit on SNL this weekend or last weekend. I'm curious, did they reach out to you guys about it ahead of time?
No.
Or did you,
no,
what did you think of it?
My phone started blowing up after it aired, and I thought it was brilliant. I thought she killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just an update from last week. I'm not sure if you saw Oscar's fight, but he knocked his opponent down 4 times.
So yes, I did see it. I actually, after I talked to you guys that day, I moved my schedule around that morning so that I could watch it, and then they moved the fight, so it screwed my whole thing up. I won't tell you how I watched it, but I watched it. Yeah, he's a good kid. I'm happy for him. I mean, it was pure dominance. I mean, he dominated that guy. It was ugly.
Is it exciting to see that people like media, like, no, I don't think any of us are going to do bare knuckle, but to see that the influence of just coming here and covering a fight can inspire somebody to go out and do something like that?
Yeah, it's a little crazy, to be honest with you. But, yeah, good for him, man. You cannot deny his performance. He went out and absolutely destroyed that guy.
Thank you.
Who does that guy work for?
Who?
The guy
Oscar?
he fought.
He works for DAZN. He does
play-by-play.
commentary and works for a lot of people.
Got it.
Yeah.
Dana, the Cuban kid beat the brakes off the Brazilian, and you gave him high praise. One, I think you said that you can't wait and fight. Wait to watch him fight. I agree with you. How high do you think his ceiling is? And also the Brazilian kid that he fought showed toughness. Is he someone that you're going to bring back?
First of all, this guy Antonio, I don't know what that guy's face is made out of. He didn't even cut with all the elbows till the last round when he was mounted. The guy's never been knocked out, 22 fights, and something about Del Valle, I liked him the minute the fight started because, it was up against the fence, and, when you think about the Contender series and somebody's pushing somebody against the fence, Mick and I were talking about, I was like, I don't even give a shit. I actually like, this kid's got 22 fights and this kid's got 7. This is going to be interesting. And then in that second round, I mean, he threw the kitchen sink at him. I mean, he tried to finish him in that round. Then it gets interesting. How much left does he have in his gas tank after this? So it was a fun fight. I love the way that both guys fought that fight. 135 significant strikes, 168 total. I mean, incredible. To 42. 135 significant strikes to 42 in that fight. Badass fight. I'm excited to see Del Valle fight again.
Were you happy that Herb Dean let the fight go in that second round, or if he would have stopped it, do you think it was acceptable just to stop that fight?
Yeah, I think it could have been stopped, but obviously anybody who thought that was wrong because Antonio in the third round opened that third round like he was. So Sean Shelby told me that that's what this kid does. So apparently he has obviously an incredible chin, and he starts taking punishment, then he comes back and wins the fight. He's never been knocked out. And Sean said, don't be surprised if he comes back in the third because this is like what this guy does. So it was awesome.
The first fighter from this season competed last weekend, Cody Haddon, the Australian kid. I was just wondering if you watched his fight.
Say that again? Oh, the kid. Yeah, no, I didn't see it.
He performed very well.
Yeah, love it.
Cowboy Cerrone said he's coming out of retirement.
I hate it.
He wants 2 more fights.
I hate it.
Is that
love him, hate that. He retired. It's just what for what? What's left to prove? If you want to make money, let's figure something else out. And yeah, I hate it.
And I wanted to ask about
when guys retire, they retire for a reason. They don't just retire because they retire because they know it's over. It is. So I think that not just this sport, but any professional sport is hard to walk away from. Not just the money. That's obviously a very hard part of it, but, the feeling of walking out of that tunnel, the feeling of getting in the cage and, the place is packed and everybody. I mean, look at every time we're at a show, when you show Cowboy Cerrone on the screen, the place goes nuts. I mean, he's beloved. He's beloved because the guy goes to war, and he's been in wars for years, and it's time to not go to war anymore, man. It's just there's nothing left to prove for him.
It's safe to say he won't be fighting in the UFC?
I'd rather work something else out with him, figure out another way. If it's about money, then he can do something else. Because he ain't going to fight for the rest of his life, and he's always going to need to make money. So let's figure that out now instead of 3 years from now.
I wanted to ask you about UFC 310. You announced that last week, Bilal Muhammad versus Shavkat. The co-main event, Kayasar Kura is getting a title shot in his UFC debut. It's kind of a rare thing for a UFC fighter making the UFC debut to get a title shot. What went into the process of giving him the title shot? Was
What are we
it
talking about, the Japanese kid?
Yeah.
He's a bad boy. You know, this isn't a guy that needs to come in and be tested or figure out what he's one of the best in the world. We're going to find out that night if he's the best in the world.
So you're looking forward to what he's going. But did timing also play a factor?
Timing always plays into it. Timing is always a factor. But I think it wouldn't have mattered when he came in. He was going to get a title shot, and no matter who the champion was.
Gotcha. And then mentioned Nick Diaz versus Vicente Luque. How confident do you believe Nick Diaz is going to show up in December?
You never know. I'm not confident that anybody's going to show up any weekend. So anything can happen. It's not just Nick Diaz. You know, Nick Diaz is one of those guys. It's funny. I sent the video to Lorenzo the other day on my Instagram. Gomi versus Nick Diaz popped up in Pride. You know, Nick Diaz isn't not going to show up because he's, you know, concerned about fighting anybody. Anything is possible, especially when you get older, especially when you haven't competed in a while. Anything is possible, but we'll see.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dane over here.
Yep.
To your left. There. Obviously, Contender Series is going 8 seasons strong now. As we go to the 9th one next year, I know you guys are always focused on making anything you guys do even better. So are there, off the top of your head, are there any ways you can think of making season 9 an even better season than the previous seasons?
No. I mean, like I said, I would do this every Tuesday for the rest of my life if we could. But it's actually better that, you know, you do one a year. You let the talent pool fill up more. And then, you know, you can have fights like we had tonight. And I love the fact that, think about this. When you think about boxing, right? Like some of these kids, like tonight, you know, now well, the perfect fight was Luis and Nick. 9-0 versus 7-0, both undefeated guys. You would never see guys fight at this point in their career in boxing. Here you do. That's why when, you know, just coming into the Contender to get into the UFC, then you have to work your way through the gauntlet of whatever weight division you're in. So there's never a question when you get to when you get to a title fight whether a guy deserves it or not. You've already fought all these, you know, some of the baddest dudes in the world to get there, which never happens in boxing. So how do we make it better? I mean, what the trend is that the talent pool just keeps getting better and better.
For sure. And I know the PI in Mexico was mentioned earlier. Obviously, Julieta, she does work out there in the PI in Mexico. And they have a UFC academy out there. I'm sure you've heard of it and seen the talent out there. But it's only been a couple of months. And Kevin Vallejos, who was part of that, got signed this season. And obviously, Julieta put up a great performance today. So how long do you think it will take for the UFC academy and the people out there from the PI out there to really kind of take over and just start sprouting the talent all over here?
How long do I think it'll take for talent to start coming out
just
of
like
Mexico?
an even bigger way than it is right now?
Yeah, it's first of all, it's like our first year down there. Wait till we've been there a good solid 3-4 years. And you got guys like Dominic Cruz and other great trainers down there training and working with these people, the type of sparring that they'll get down there. Over the next 3-4 years, you're going to see unbelievable talent coming out of Mexico.
Sure. And obviously this weekend, Francis Ngannou is making his MMA debut with PFL. I just want to get your thoughts on that. And
what do I care?
For sure. Thank you.
Yep. Glad I can answer your question.
Did you had any feedback from Dominic or Eric Del Fierro, who was here, that they're in Mexico, like day to day with the kids? Like any feedback from them? Like what do they think of the first like generation they have there?
Any feedback from Dominic Cruz or Eric Del Fierro about how the kids are doing down there? At the PI.
Yeah, I would ask them that. And obviously I hear good things, yeah. I was just talking to Dominic tonight, but that's a question for them.
And when you see a girl like Julieta, who's so talented, but she's she's small
for the weight class. She's small for the weight class, and she's really young, and she's really green. That's why I didn't bring her in tonight. We can keep her down the PI. She's talented. I don't want to see her come to the UFC and get hurt. She's too young. She's got nothing but, you're not even in your prime till you're 28. But she just turned 20.
But especially in Latin America and Brazil, there's a lot of 105ers that are really talented.
Well, that's the other thing. As you start to talk about South America, you start to talk about, Asia, whether it's China or Japan or Korea. As we keep cultivating talent in these places, we might end up creating another division.
Like the 105 is like in your mind right now? Like
Do I want what?
the atom weight could be on your mind?
105. Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah. And Leslie, you, Sean, and Hunter, and Meek are the ones who know more about how the fights are done, if someone refuses to fight, if someone gets injured. And I know you mentioned that you don't want to be part of the rankings, but is someone that could know more than you about some of these fights? Because probably us from the media, we don't learn about a lot of what happens like backstage on all of these negotiations about these fights to make. It would make sense like you have part on the rankings. I mean, from my...
That we have a fighter do what? Be involved in the ranking?
Yeah, like you and Meek and Hunter and Sean, like take part of the rankings. And I know you said that you don't want to do it.
No, we can't do it. I don't think that it's right that we would do the rankings. No matter how unbiased you try to be, it's impossible. And I'll be honest with you. There are some fighters I don't like. There's fighters that I really like. And there's things that are good for the business. There's things that you might think, I don't want in our hands at all. Not mine, not Sean's, not Mick's, not Hunter's, nobody's. There has to be a third party that or AI or something that does the rankings. It's impossible not to be biased. And I believe that there's bias with the media too. It's impossible not to be biased. So, no, I don't agree with that. It doesn't matter if somebody's hurt or whatever it is. The fact that the last straw, the straw that broke the camel's back is this guy puts on this fucking performance and he's ranked number 8 still. It's just the fucking dumbest shit that I have ever seen in my, other than Max Holloway and 10 other fucking things I could throw at you. It's just dumb. It's either dumb or lazy, or both. There's nothing worse than dumb and lazy.
And finally, what do you think about Ilia Topuria wearing the BMF belt this week? And one question that most fans has, like Max being the BMF champ, why is that not in the table for this fight?
What's the question? Yeah. That belt's we're I get it. He wants to rock his belt, and there was talk about in the artwork him having it, but that belt isn't up for grabs that night. So there's no reason to have that belt in any of the pictures. You won't see it again unless Max brings it and wears it and stuff like that. That's up to him. It's his belt.
I think his question is, Ilya was actually the one wearing the BMF belt.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, he's been wearing all week and posting on
interesting.
social media. And
So we wanted your thoughts on Ilya wearing it, and is there a chance the BMF belt can get playing during that fight?
No, it's not. It's not up for grabs, and sounds like a little mental warfare to me. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Dana. You've talked about Julieta at length tonight. We knew she was young and undersized coming into tonight, and maybe you can answer this question. Maybe hindsight's 2020. If she had put on a somewhat more convincing performance or gotten a finish, would that have possibly earned her a contract, or have you? It seems like you were kind of predetermined in that.
100%. I mean, I've never done this ever since we've been doing Ultimate Fighter. Contender. I literally had nothing to say. I know she's young, she's undersized, she's green, she needs a lot more experience, and it's my job to make these decisions and do what I think is right. I don't want to see this girl get hurt or lose when she's so young and she's got nothing but time. It's almost like Nick. I didn't think Nick won the fight, so I didn't sign him. And I said, if you want to come back again, face somebody else, and prove to me that I'm wrong, then I'm down to do it. And to his credit, he did it. And he came in tonight, and, here we are. But these are the things that I have to look at and make these decisions on and pull the trigger on what I think is right and wrong. And you've seen me make some decisions where I'm like, I'm going to give this guy an opportunity because of whatever the reason is. But, and it's hard because she's adorable. She's adorable. She won. You can tell she's got a ton of heart, right? She's got a ton of heart, and I saw that it killed her tonight, that we didn't take her after a win against a bigger, basically a woman. A girl fought a woman tonight, and she won. The girl won, and she didn't get signed, but I know I'm doing the right thing.
Just one more for me. I want to talk about Dustin Poirier. He's been teasing some fight news lately. You just talked about Donald Cerrone and retiring, and guys just need to know when to walk away. Dustin kind of hinted at retirement after the Islam fight. Sounds like he is coming back. He's also said the only thing that he ever really fought for was a title, and that's really probably not in the picture. How do you feel about him coming back and fighting if the title's not in the picture and if he's only going to fight one more time?
Look at what he did. I mean, everybody was talking about his execution against Saint Denis, that he was going to get all the shit that was talked, and look at what he did. You never count Poirier out, and that's up to him. He's going to decide whether he wants to fight or doesn't want to fight. It's up to them. It's not up to me. But to say, he should probably walk away right now, I don't know about that. I didn't think that Cormier should have walked away when he did. But Cormier did. He felt it was time to go, and he did it. He's moved on, and he's doing great. Look at the second career he has now. It's unbelievable. All these other guys, they need to start thinking about that. Cerrone shouldn't think about fighting again. Cerrone should start thinking about what's next. He should have been thinking about it 2 years ago, but apparently he didn't, and he needs to. And we're here for him. We love Cerrone. So we'll help in any way we can. I don't want to see him get punched in the face anymore.
Thank you.
Dana, just to throw one follow-up question at you, why would you put Juliet on the card if you went into it?
I didn't.
So, well, how did she get on the card if she doesn't have
the matchmakers did it. All this shit, I see this tonight when I get here. These guys put together fights with the best fighters available in the world. I know nothing about any of them. I don't know I don't want to know who they are, what the thing is. When I walk out and I sit down at the table, Muhammad versus Jonathan, and I start reading about them, and I look, and then the fight starts, and then I determine what we're going to do with these people. But if you're the matchmakers, this girl's 7-0. She's undefeated. And that's a lot of fights for a 20-year-old. You know what I mean? So we've taken people with less fights. But I got here tonight. I saw her. I felt like she was undersized. I felt like she's too young. And I make that decision on Tuesday nights. Cool? Good night, everybody.
Hey, Jonathan. Congratulations on the win. Quite the finish. Can you talk us through the transition that you had there to get into the position for the triangle?
Yeah, absolutely. So initially, when he actually managed to get me on my back the first time. So when he tried to do it again, I felt that I could switch up the triangle, and I locked that in. And then yeah, after a couple of adjustments, there was no way I was going to get out of that.
I know you told Herb, hey, he's out. How long had he been out before you said something? Because it looked like you were kind of looking back at Herb a couple times before he did it.
Yeah, man, I feel like there was a solid 20, 30 seconds where I hadn't felt any pressure. Maybe as he went onto his knees, he released the pressure before he went out. But yeah, it was quite a while. I felt like I better say something here. Yeah, crazy.
That was crazy. What was the emotion like getting that win and, starting, you have to know when you get a submission in the first round like that, you're going to be in, right? I mean, there's never a guarantee, but you had to feel pretty good about getting in. What was your emotion like? And was it hard to contain the rest of the card while you waited to hear?
Yeah, well, you said it yourself. It was, and you're never guaranteed. But I was pretty confident that I was definitely going to get a contract because whenever I do fight, I go for the finish, and we got to see a submission in the first that time, but whether it's a KO on the feet or something, I'm always looking for it, I'm always looking for a way to take the other guy out with the path of least resistance.
So to come over here and to do this, like how long is your travel and like what is your situation? And you got to be pretty confident in your ability to make the trip that far, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be a bad trip if you come all the way down here, 17-hour trek, time away from the family, time away from my coaches, away from their families. They've all got babies as well, to head home with empty-handed and, bruised face. But yeah, it just goes to show we're fully committed to this, and we put it all on the line. And when we step out there, we're ready to take the other guy out and make sure that we do everything we can to get in this case a contract, or in my future fights in the UFC would probably be a bonus.
Do you feel like, fighters from New Zealand, Australia, and that area of the world are at a little bit of a disadvantage because they go down there once or twice a year, and then the rest of the time everybody's fighting, more on the Western Hemisphere, and you have all that travel, and I mean, every fight you go to is going to be, unless you fight at home, going to be an incredible road trip. Does that put you guys at a disadvantage, and how do you overcome that? Do you travel earlier, or what do you do to overcome that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'd say so. It definitely would put you at a little bit of a disadvantage, but you just have to prepare for it. You've got to make sure you I guess, take time to get in early, acclimate, get your sleep right, do all those sort of things. But it's funny because we're at that disadvantage where we have to travel, we have to make all these moves and little things where we have to come down here, but we're still doing so well, and it just goes to show how good the Australia-New Zealand scene really is. And myself and there was a few others this season that got signed, and we're just going to keep shining, and the UFC's shining the spotlight on that region and how good we are.
So Cody Hatton got signed in this season, and he already has a UFC fight under his belt. Is that motivating to you to see that, like that somebody can come that quickly? And how soon do you want to make your UFC debut, given circumstances?
Yeah, 100%. Seeing Cody definitely motivates me. I saw him when he was just on his way out. It's all love when you're from the same area. Like the Aussies all stick together. Look, I'm looking to get on in February. I just had a baby. He's only 2 weeks old. I would like to take a little bit of time just to change my I'm very tunnel vision, so when I've got a fight booked in, I'm thinking about nothing but that fight, and now that I have a baby, I want to try and focus a little bit of my energy towards that, and for a little bit of time, focus on him, and then when we're ready to go, which I think will be Sydney in February, but around the time of February, if not Sydney, is when I'll be looking to go again.
And what is your son's name?
Rafael Guido Mikhailov is his name.
Guido, okay, good.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Was this the first time you fought in America?
Correct. Yeah. Well, actually, funny story. I've never fought outside of Melbourne. So I've had 14 fights, 7 amateurs, 8 pros now. only one being outside of Melbourne, and that being in Vegas. So it's, a massive trek out, not sleeping in my own bed, but, we're professionals and we prepare for all things, and yeah.
Did fighting in the fight capital of the world live up to your expectations other than the crazy travel?
That and more. Yeah, it was incredible, man. Just being here, seeing the people and how much of a different world it is to what I'm used to. It was crazy. It was really, really good to see, really good to experience.
Can you talk just about your game plan? There was a lot of hype, obviously, on Muhammad, and you went in there and kind of just cut that hype out.
Yeah, definitely. Look, game plan wise, we sort of felt like we were better than him everywhere. And when the fight started, it wasn't like I had something specific that I wanted to do. It was just like, go in there, do your best, because I know that wherever the fight did take place, I would probably be able to beat him there. And then I managed, I think, to catch a kick, and the clinch got initiated, and from there I sort of just stayed on it and took it out from there. But every fight is different, yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Luis, over to your right. Incredible performance. That was amazing. And apparently, Dana was telling us your weight cut was really bad, so things were tough for you.
Bad's relative. I'd say it went pretty good, actually. I made weight.
What was going on? And you were up all night. Is that what the case was?
Yeah. Well, I had fought about 2 weeks before that for Fury against Jacob Silva, so had basically 2 weeks off of just enjoying life, letting little injuries recover, and they let me know on 7 days' notice about the opportunity, and I was like, well, hell or high water, I'm going to make the weight. So made the weight. Just took about 3 different weight cuts from 11 in the afternoon to 6 in the morning.
It was so incredible, especially given Nick comes out like crazy and takes you down. Looks like he's going to get that submission and the fight's going to be over in the first 30 seconds. When you went down and he was going for that choke, A, was it close ever, and B, what's going through your mind? Like, oh fuck, I get this opportunity and now here we go.
No, the choke wasn't that close, and really it just pissed me off. And that's when I started getting up and started hitting him. But yeah, it wasn't that close. We expected him to come out guns blazing first round. We knew we were going to have to fight off some takedowns, but we were also pretty sure my striking would, show the difference between us once we got to the feet.
And I was going to ask you, you were hitting him right after that with some clean strikes and, really were cracking him a lot. Is that something in your game that's normally that good, that you're striking your hands or your strength?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's my favorite thing to do. I love it. It's like I wrestled in college too. I could be laying, praying, and trying to take guys down, hold them down. But, Dana wants fighters. Dana wants exciting fighters. Otherwise, Piccinini would have been signed the last time he fought. But, you know, I'm out there. I'm risking it. You see the last, 30 seconds of the fight. I pointed down. I said, come here. I'll give you a chance to win the fight. It'll be me or you. I don't care. He shot in on a single leg. Probably lost him the fight.
The pace was insane in that too. Did you feel that? Because if you fought only 2 weeks ago and had a tough weight cut, did you feel the pace, and were you having a suck wind toward the end of the fight at all?
Oh, for sure. I was tired. I just didn't care. It was, what? Tired's in your head. It was, what, I'm going to be tired and then just give up and let this guy beat me? It was like, no, I'll be tired every day when I have to go against Royval and he throws you in 20 submissions in like 15 seconds and you have to fight out of every single one. It was like, I have to do fight simulations with Matza over there, and he's just trying to figure out creative ways to murder you for 25 minutes. So, yeah, I'm used to being tired. We train like that, so it wasn't anything different.
Royval just put on one of the most incredible fights Saturday in a long time, right? That was an impressive performance against a really high-level guy. Do you think you surpassed him tonight with the performance you put on?
Oh, no, definitely not. I'm not at that level yet. I mean, that was awesome. I was so happy for him. That was like one of the coolest experiences that I could have had this weekend, and I think it definitely helped with my own performance tonight. I was able to walk out to the corner, with Royval. Everything was 10 times louder, 10 times crazier. So it was almost like more of a laid-back feeling. Once I was in there for my fight, I was like, oh, well, I've already seen this. I know what's going to happen. I was even in the same corner as him, so it was almost exactly the same.
I saw him during the fight standing up, and he was taking pictures of you, and he had a big smile on his face for most of the time he was in there. It was like he probably knew something the rest of us didn't know from training with you, I guess.
Yeah, it was like, ever since we all set out and made our own little team over there at the UFC Gym Lone Tree, it's just been awesome. I feel like we're all just learning so much together. We're all super close, me and Brandon, Alex, Rafa, Clay, and it's just, we're a band of brothers. So when any one of us succeeds, we all succeed, and we're just pushing each other up and up and up. And now we're like 4-0 as a team in the last month.
So what does it mean to you, given your journey and everything you've been through, to finally be in the major leagues? You hit the top level. Like, what does this mean to you, and how significant in your career is this?
Yeah, I mean, it means everything. I sacrificed as much as I could sacrifice: time, effort, money, relationships. It's just, I'm just so thankful to have people around me that push me and care for me, and they just want me to succeed as much as anyone else does. I'm just, now the work's just begun. We're here now, and my goal isn't to be in the UFC, it's to be a UFC champ.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Luis, you were so close for so long, and you had so many people saying like this dude's the best flyweight on the regional scene. Why isn't he in the UFC? At some point, with the, you were so close. The matchmakers knew about you. Everybody knew about you. Was there ever a point where it's like, dude, like when the fuck are they gonna call me?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it gets discouraging if you're, you're out there, you're winning, and you keep doing what you need to be doing, and there's still nothing out there. But I think it just goes to show you, like, if there's an opportunity, you need to take it. And I didn't care, what the circumstances was. I was sicker than a dog on 7 days' notice. My wife was looking at me like I was crazy. She's like, "Are you sure you can do this? You can't even talk without coughing." I was like, "I'm gonna do it. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I need to go run." And then it just made it happen. Yeah.
Was this fight supposed to happen in Fury a few times?
Yeah, it was. I heard they declined. I don't know if my team declined, but I know it was floating around for a little bit. I kind of expected our paths would cross eventually if we kept doing well in Fury. And just so happened, we ended up crossing in Contender series, so good for me.
And I'm assuming the game plan was basically how the fight played out. He was going to try and take you down. You were going to walk him down. was there anything else kind of to it, or
No, the game plan was pretty simple. He's going to try to take you down, we're going to get up, and we're going to hurt him. We're going to be violent, and we're going to make him pay every second that we're on the feet. If he tries to take us down, we get back up, or we use our jiu-jitsu, and then we just make him regret saying yes to this fight once we're on our feet.
obviously he's a very high-level college wrestler. Does this give you confidence about your wrestling and other fighters in the UFC that, like, dude, like, if this guy can't take me down, hold me down, like, who can?
Yeah, for sure. I have supreme confidence in my wrestling, and most people, you know, they forget about it or they think that my wrestling's non-existent. No, man, I'm just trying to knock you out. I want to get bonuses once I'm in the UFC. It's like, I'm not trying to wrestle you. Like, come here, I'm trying to be like, Justin Gaethje has good wrestling. You ever see him using it? No, he's getting sweet knockouts. And so that's what I'm trying to do.
That being said, when obviously you're probably going to want to take some time off, but when would be a perfect return for you?
I'd have to talk to my coaches about it and get a little, you know, game plan going on. We've had a crazy month with the team. And even me is, you know, I fought 2 weeks ago, just got another fight. So I think if I go immediately back to training, my wife's going to kill me. So I should probably take a couple weeks off and spend some time together for that.
Congrats, dude.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Awesome. Always have my back. Thank you.
Congratulations over. That was one of the most incredible fights I've seen in a long time. Were you wondering what was keeping that guy up after some of those shots you were hitting him with?
Una de las peleas más increíbles que hemos visto acá. ¿En algún momento pensaste tú como que, cómo este tipo está en pie todavía?
Sinceramente me sorprendió. Por algunos momentos creí como que ya que él estaba como giving up, como que ya se iba a rendir. Y la verdad me sorprendía. De momento como que se movía o me tiraba algún golpe. La verdad, mucho respeto para Antonio, que demostró ser un guerrero y tener tremendo corazón.
Actually, it surprised me. There were moments there that I thought that he was going to give up and just, you know, let it go. But he would surprise me. All of a sudden, he'd start moving his head, and then he actually just, you know, a strike would come out. So all the respect in the world. Tremendous fighter, great warrior.
You talked a lot about coming from Cuba and what this would mean to the Cuban people. When did you leave Cuba, and how difficult was your life when you were at home?
Hablas mucho de lo cuánto eso representaría para Cuba y también a la gente, a la comunidad cubana. ¿Cómo fue para ti? ¿Cuándo viniste a los Estados Unidos de Cuba y lo cuánto difícil fue para ti no solo venir y como que empezar tu vida acá?
Bueno, realmente yo dejé Cuba como con 17 años. Me fui a vivir a México, estuve viviendo 2 años allá en México. Después vine para Estados Unidos como con 19, casi 20 años. Vine al gran estado de Houston, Texas. Y la verdad, sinceramente, los cubanos es una situación bien difícil la que están viviendo en el país. Por eso yo trato de representar a la gente humilde, a la gente pobre es la que realmente está pasando trabajo, porque hay un gobierno muy malo allá en Cuba que tiene al pueblo de Cuba oprimido, pasando muchas necesidades, muchas carencias. Entonces, esas es a las personas que yo realmente quiero representar. También quiero representar a la gente de Latinoamérica, quiero representar a la comunidad americana, porque realmente este gran país me abrió las puertas para lograr las poquitas cosas que hoy puedo tener en la vida. Este país me ha abierto las puertas de que trabajando duro por tus sueños y superándote cada día con disciplina, se pueden lograr grandes cosas.
I left Cuba at age 17 and I went to Mexico. So I spent 2 years in Mexico, and then at age 19, then I finally got to go to the great city of Houston. And, you know, the people that I represent are the poor, the humble people, the people that are going through, you know, hunger, they're going through a difficult situation there. You know, they're oppressed by a government and they're in a very tough situation. Those are the people that I represent, the simple folk, and those are the ones that I'm here. And also, not just the Cuban community, but the Latin American community too. You know, all the countries in Latin America and the Americans as well. The United States has been a great country that has opened its doors for me, given me the opportunity, and has allowed me, with hard work, to be able to achieve the few things that I've been able to achieve. And I think that that's the message to people, that with hard work and to, you know, overcoming things and, you know, outdoing yourself every day, you can get great things in life.
I was in Cuba 10 years or so ago, and there were some very beautiful, very seemingly well-off areas, and not very far away, very poor and very terrible conditions. The gyms over there seem to be like just dirt with ropes along the wall and everything. Is that kind of how you came up as you were fighting in Cuba in those very poor conditions? And did you fight in those kind of gyms where it was, you know, very poor equipment and that type of thing?
Yo estuve en Cuba hace unos 10 años y tuve la oportunidad de ver, había partes de Cuba que me parecía que la gente estaba muy bien y vivía muy bien. Y al lado, un par de kilómetros ahí, veía que había gente que no estaba nada bien. O sea, partes muy pobres, muy simples. Y vi los gimnasios en Cuba, que básicamente era un área con tierra casi y como que cuerdas por los lados y ahí hacían un ring. ¿Así fue tu experiencia de pelear en Cuba? ¿Cuando empezaste? ¿Cómo eran los gimnasios donde entrenaste? ¿Cómo fueron las condiciones que empezaste a pelear?
Bueno, realmente cuando yo comencé a entrenar judo en Cuba cuando niño, el colchón que teníamos eran costales llenos de acerrín. El acerrín es como pequeños desechos que suelta la madera cuando la lija, y eran puros costales de acerrín que te causaban alergia, te causaban mucha comezón en la piel de la misma madera. Y la verdad, en Cuba los deportistas se hacen a sangre y a corazón y determinación, porque realmente no hay un apoyo del gobierno de, mira, tienes guantes, tienes un lugar agradable donde tú puedas entrenar y prepararte, ¿ves? Uno como atleta siempre necesita buenas condiciones, una buena alimentación para poder sobresalir en el deporte, y en Cuba nada de eso existe. Entonces las personas que ahorita están viviendo muy bien en Cuba, perdón, son personas que están involucradas con el gobierno, ¿me entiendes? Son hijos de altos dirigentes, esas personas viven como si fueran capitalistas dentro de un país comunista. Y entonces realmente las personas que están pasando mucho trabajo son las personas a pie que no tienen transporte. Esas son las personas que realmente le están pasando bien feo en Cuba.
So when I started judo in Cuba, the mats were actually pretty much like panels that were made out of, and what do you call it when you actually sand? Actually, when you chop wood. Sawdust. Thank you so much. So sawdust, pretty much like panels like with sawdust, and actually because of the fact that that's wood, like that caused allergies, and it just basically it's hard to actually be on top of it. That's the gyms that I started on. So, I mean, just a bad condition. And the people that you saw that were, and that's the situation. Like, you would hope that, there'll be some help. Give us some gloves. Here's some stuff that you need to train. There's nothing. So nothing comes out of it. And that's the situation that I started when I started training there. The people that you see that are all off, they're pretty much, associated to the party in some capacity or associated with the government. These are whether family of it or associated with it. And basically they have a capitalist life in a communist country. So that's those are the people. The people that I represent are the people that train the same conditions that I did, which are people that have nothing. They come from nothing, they train from nothing, and those are the conditions that I started with.
Two other questions about that, and then I'll move on. Number one, when you said you were 17 when you went to Mexico, so roughly 10 years ago, was it a treacherous trip? Like, was there danger? You hear a lot of the people that are refugees from Cuba, when they go to the United States, they're on those rafts and everything, and they're dangerous. Did you face that? And then the second part of that question just would be, your hands look so good. Have you worked with some of those outstanding Cuban boxers that maybe helped you develop your striking?
Bueno, entonces, dijiste 17, o sea, más o menos unos 10 años que eso pasó. Mucha gente habla y nosotros escuchamos, obviamente, son casos y historias de cómo uno llega a su destino saliendo de Cuba. Nos gustaría que por favor compartieras cómo fue contigo, cómo fue esta jornada de salir de Cuba hacia México. Primero de todo, nos gustaría saber cómo fue esto, si puedes compartir. Y la otra cosa es, mira, tus manos estaban tremendas hoy. Se veía que estabas tus intercambios, tus golpes tremendos. ¿De dónde viene eso? O sea, ¿tuviste la oportunidad de pelear con tantos... ¿Vienes del boxeo cubano? ¿Esto también tuviste experiencia con ellos para entrenar?
Bueno, sinceramente, mi viaje para salir de Cuba no fue complicado, porque yo era menor de edad. Entonces, ¿qué sucede? Mi mamá tenía descendencia española. Entonces, debido a que mi mamá tenía descendencia española de los padres de sus padres, ella pudo hacerme papeles para sacarme de Cuba sin ningún problema, y realmente yo no tuve problemas para salir de Cuba en aquel momento. Pero no, realmente la estancia mía en México no fue nada mala. Allá en México estuve trabajando desde bien jovencito. Tú sabes, para poder pagar mi renta, poder hacer los papeles de mi esposa, que en aquel tiempo yo llevo ya 13, 14 años con mi esposa. Me junté con ella cuando tenía 15 años. Ella es 2 años mayor que yo y gracias a Dios estamos juntos todavía. Entonces tuve que asumir responsabilidades desde bien jovencito para poder hacer sus papeles y traerla a ella a vivir conmigo a México. Entonces, en México realmente me enfoqué más en lo que era el jiu-jitsu, el striking mío. Realmente yo en Cuba nunca tuve experiencia de hacer boxeo con nadie. El poco striking que tengo, que lo he mejorado bastante en los últimos años, es gracias al profesor mío, Bob, que la verdad ha sido una bendición desde que comencé a entrenar en su academia, porque me ha puesto una dedicación increíble y entonces estoy muy agradecido con él, que me ha trabajado mucho mi striking. Igual tengo un entrenador de boxeo que se llama Pablo, que me ha estado ayudando bastante con mi striking y gracias a Dios hoy se vio el resultado de lo que es trabajar el boxeo. Pero la verdad, mi boxeo viene del gimnasio de mi profe Bob.
Y dijiste el nombre de Pablo, ¿no?
Y Pablo.
So my journey from Cuba to Mexico, listen, it wasn't complicated. The reason why is my mom, she had Spanish roots. So it was easy for her to get the papers and process the papers as a Spanish citizen to bring me over and actually to go to Mexico. So that made it easy. And then in Mexico, my stay in Mexico, my time in Mexico was not complicated. It was just a lot of hard work. Because I got there, I started to work immediately to be able to pay rent, keep my stuff together, and especially because I was able to, I've been with my wife for 15 years now, actually since I was 15. And she's 2 years older than I am, and I just she's been with me throughout this journey, and I wanted to make sure that I could actually process her papers to come out of Cuba as well and come with me. So there's a lot of hard work to keep things on my toes. And actually there, so that's what my stay in Mexico, my journey from Cuba to Mexico was like. And she's been with me all along. And then you have what I did in Mexico, and that's my concentration. My focus there was more jiu-jitsu. That's what I really focused on when I was in there. And actually, I didn't have the experience with the Cuban boxers as much. My boxing comes from Bob. My boxers, it came, I mean, that in Houston, that's when I'm so grateful with all the dedication and the time that he has given me to improve my boxing. And I also have a boxing coach, Pablo, that's helped me a lot too. So listen, all the boxing that you see comes from Houston and Bob Perez.
Last question, and I don't mean this to be a wise guy when I ask you this, but you were hitting him with that right elbow a lot as you were standing up. And you hit him so many times in the head, I'm wondering if your elbow was hurting you, right? Because you were hitting him in a hard part of his head with the side of your elbow where there's not a lot of padding.
Y mi última pregunta, yo no quiero sonar como si fuera un chiste ni nada, pero como que hay un momento que estabas ahí intercambiando con él en clinch muy cerca y empezaste a meterle codos y me preguntaba, ¿le duele el codo? Porque probablemente él está lastimándole tanto que le rompió la cabeza, o sea, lo estaba lastimando con la cabeza del codo o estaba lastimando el codo con la cabeza.
No, realmente mi oponente tiene la cabeza de piedra. Tiene la cabeza de piedra porque le pegué muchas veces con el codo y yo sentía como que él ya no iba a aguantar un codo más y de momento se despertaba. Él tenía por dentro de él ese espíritu que tampoco le permitía rendirse y eso es digno de admirar de mi oponente.
Listen, that guy, that head is a rock. There were moments I gave it really hard, and there were moments that I thought he cannot take one more of this, and he would just get on up and continue and would not give up, and that's something very admirable. A lot of respect for my opponent for having that.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
We good? Todo listo.
Listo. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, man. How you feeling right now?
I feel amazing. I did not think the fight was going to go that quick, but I think ultimately just trusting in my skills and my team and the ultimate game plan of the fight clearly paid off.
I think a lot of people didn't expect it to go that way. Obviously, Dana said that you were a big dog to go do what you did in that way. So how does it feel? Does it make it feel that much better the way you did it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it feels great. I feel less pressure going in as an underdog. I feel like anytime like the odds are in my favor, you know, and I've got a ton of, like anytime I fought on the regional scale and a ton of people showed up to see me, it was almost like more pressure, you know. I kind of like being the guy who's supposed to lose because it just relieves me of all of the tension and it's like I got nothing to lose. We're going for Hail Marys, and you know, tonight the pass was made.
Sure, nice. You got the brown belt around you. Your opponent tonight, black belt. You still got the W. How does that feel as well?
It feels great. It's actually funny. I was telling a bunch of the guys backstage a story yesterday. So my coach Jake, he scheduled us an appointment at Battlefield Las Vegas. So we went to fire, you know, a whole bunch of automatic weapons and stuff. It was super fun. And I was sitting on the bench and I was like, oh, he's a Brazilian with a black belt from Brazil. And I looked in my corner and I'm like, or my coaches, and I'm like, if I submit him, I get a stripe on my purple belt. And my coach looks at me, he's like, we don't have to do shit. It just made me laugh. And they keep me in check, man, and I love that. I love having people around me who keep me in check and keep me humble, you know. And ultimately, they had something planned for me, you know, which is nice, man. I love my team. I'm so grateful for the people I'm surrounded with, man. And ultimately, my gym and my coaches, my corner, teammates, and Pura Vida BJJ back in Milwaukee are the reason I'm here tonight. I'm a product of that program, those coaches, and that gym.
Awesome. Congratulations on that. And obviously, finishing off the year very strong, getting the UFC contract. So if it was up to you, how fast do you want to turn around to make that debut?
Dude, I'm going to go have fun tonight, but I'm going to be back in the gym on Saturday. I think I'm going to switch my flight and hang out here. I got 3 kids at home, man, and me and Mom never get a chance to get away. So I think I'm going to book us some alternate return flights, have fun maybe tomorrow, and then fly back home on Thursday. Probably, you know, get the house and everything back together on Friday. It gets messy quick with 3 kids under 6 at home, man. So we'll get back organized on Friday, and I'll be back in the gym on Saturday, man. But like I said to Laura earlier, man, Anthony Hernandez and Michelle Pereira are fighting, you know, this Saturday in Denver. Dude, I'll take a flight from Vegas to Denver right now. I'll fill in the second they need me. I'm in shape now. Put me in, coach.
They're actually fighting here at the Apex this weekend.
Oh, really? I thought it was a Denver card. Shoot, I'll stay in Vegas if I got to, man. This city's fun.
Even better. So do you know what obviously you want to have fun. Do you know what your itinerary looks like, or is it kind of where the day takes you?
So I got 8 people who came out to watch me fight tonight, and my coach took us to that Battlefield Las Vegas yesterday. I want everybody who came out to watch me to go shoot some guns tomorrow, man. And then I'm gonna go to the PI, and really just from there do whatever the people who came out to watch me want to do. I got what I came here for, plus and more, man. And I'm just so thankful, and this whole experience is just larger than life.
You have do you envision how an ideal debut would look like for you? Do you want to fight anywhere in specific, or?
No, man, I don't really care. I'll go anywhere. Traveling for this sport is something that's one of the reasons I got into it. It's super cool to be able to do what you love and get to see the world while you do it. You know, I think that's the reason a lot of guys get into this sport. You know, it's not just the love for fighting, it's all the experiences that go with it, you know. And I will happily oblige any travel. You know, I don't care if I got to jump a plane to Abu Dhabi. You know, I've flown to Thailand already. I know what a 22-hour plane flight's like. I know what the time swap is like. I've done it before. I'll do it again.
Sure. And this season we saw a lot of killers get contracts. And so for you, how does it feel to be the very last fight of the show and obviously end it the way you did?
Dude, the biggest, it was the most pressure because I'm in the back warming up with my corner, right? And I'm watching all these fights, and I'm like, man, these guys are having wars. Like, if I go out there and have a boring fight, they ain't gonna look at me again, you know? And I'm like, how am I gonna stamp like the last episode, or you know, the last fight of the last episode of the season, you know? And I think I did my job.
Awesome, congratulations, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Just because congrats on the win, by the way, and the contract, because I don't see it very often. So you got your brown belt tonight off of this win.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, it was funny. So my coach kind of told me the story right before, I guess, the night started. He reached out to one of our management people, and he's like, just in case, is there any way you can get a brown belt here? You know, and it paid off, man.
That is
worked out.
That's double congrats. That's fantastic.
Yeah, 100%.
If you blinked, you missed it. It's just like a bat out of hell. Was there a little part of you that wanted to blitz this guy and lock in that submission?
So I knew, I looked at. So I didn't watch any film. I took this fight last Monday. A teammate of mine got hurt, and I was coming off an 8-week camp to go fight in Iowa, a 1-0 guy who I can promise is happy he didn't get me in his draw. Sorry, 1 second. What was the question? I apologize, man.
The blitz that you just ran through.
Yeah. So when I had seen that some of his fights were at 170, and I'm a big 85er, man. Like the only 85er I've ever stood in person with, and I was like, whoa, you're way bigger than I thought, is Strickland, man. Any other middleweight that I've stood in front of, I'm like, I feel like all these guys look larger than life on TV, and then you see them in person, and you're like, oh, like you're not as big as I thought you were, you know? And then that dog in the back of my head starts to tick a little bit, and I'm like, I think I could take your ass, you know? But obviously there's a bunch of skilled killers in the UFC. But anyways, when I weighed in with him, I didn't know how much more size he had put on to come to 85, you know? When I weighed in against him yesterday, I knew I had a clear size advantage. And I threw that first teep kick when we got into the cage, and I just felt how much it moved his body, and I'm like, dude, you don't even belong in here with me, you know? Every fight I've ever gone through, the bad guys and the good records I'm talking, I go through these mental roller coasters, man, of like, I'm going to beat this guy's ass. Wait, what if I don't, you know? And it's not until I make that first contact with my opponent in the cage that I feel really confident, you know, in all of my skills and stuff. And the second I landed that teep kick and it pushed his whole body back and he came in to swing on me, I'm like, oh, dude, you don't even stand a chance. I snatched that leg, I put that choke in, and it was a wrap.
Yeah, because it seemed like the way you flipped them, it really did seem like two guys different ways.
I could tell how much panic I had inflicted right away. So I had the deep choke in, like a traditional rear naked choke in right away. He's a black belt, man. He's not a bad fighter either. Like that guy's probably going to get in the UFC too. But it's going to take a while for him to get back to me, you know. But he had good defense and stuff. I'm strong, man, and I can loop them chokes on, and I'm not going to burn my arms out in 10 seconds. Like you're going to be fighting for minutes to get that squeeze off. I have a good squeeze, so it paid off.
Awesome, man. And last for me, they really tested your mental strength right there post-fight with Laura. That beautiful moment where they show your daughter. How fantastic was that,
dude? If there's one thing in this world that melts me, man, it's my kids. I'm a pretty tough guy by nature, but my daughters they soften me more than anything else can, man. And I really try to hold myself to the highest accountability to be, you know, a good father to them and just, you know, a father that they deserve, you know. And part of this journey is for, you know, like I said on camera before, for them to chase their dreams. You know, they're watching Dad go and live his now, you know. And it's funny. It's probably just regular life for them now, watching Dad on TV, you know. But I think they're going to grow old enough and realize at some point that, like, whoa, like, not everybody's dad does stuff like this, you know. And I really hope they take it upon themselves to just chase whatever they want to do, you know, because they got to watch Dad do it firsthand.
That's awesome, man. Well, congrats on the win. You made him proud, and welcome to the UFC.
Thank you, man. Thank you, guys.